Hi, so I'm Cath from the Harvest Table, and I thought for the next 2 weeks we could chat a little bit around some of the food habits that I've incorporated into my life. Just really easy things that I think if you tweaked over time, I would hope at the end of a 2-month period that you will really start to feel the difference in your health and wellness. Now, I'm sure a lot of these you've heard before, and I really want to encourage you to give it a try. And why don't we do a clean eating 2 months as we move through the next few weeks and start recording how you feel. So even now, just think about, how do you feel from day to day? How do you feel when you wake up? What are your energy levels throughout the day? How are you feeling by about 3 o'clock in the afternoon? How do you feel at bedtime? What time do you go to bed? How long do you need to sleep for? All of those things. And then let's make a few tweaks. And then in a few weeks' time, why don't you do the same and see if you feel any different? Now, the first thing that I want to say is, I've heard people say this to me all the time. I'm not allergic to gluten, I'm not allergic to dairy, I can incorporate those things into my diet. An allergy and an intolerance are two very different things. And so an allergy to gluten versus intolerance shows up differently. So if you have an allergy and you've been tested and it came up negative, if you eat some toast right now, some wheat toast, if you had an allergy, straight away you would see something flare up. You might feel tingling around your mouth, or your gut might straight away be sore, or people break out in hives, or whatever those allergy responses are. An intolerance happens much more slowly, and often you won't connect it to the thing that you're eating. And so you might wake up feeling a bit sluggish tomorrow, or tomorrow morning your gut feels like a little bit bloated or a little bit tender. And so by removing some of these things from your diet, your body actually isn't sitting in that autoimmune response constantly like it is if you're eating things that it's intolerant to. Now, unfortunately, things like modern day wheat and gluten, which are very overprocessed, often sprayed with chemicals that we really shouldn't be eating, that bear no resemblance to the original ancient grains, that have been genetically modified beyond recognition. These things are not doing any favors to your body. And so your body is seeing them almost as an enemy and constantly wanting to attack that enemy. And that is using much needed energy. These grains are also very glutinous, and that's where the word gluten comes from, meaning very sticky. And so they create that stickiness throughout your gut. They can even eventually break open little holes in the gut, and that is called leaky guts. And when you have these holes, then bigger and bigger particles can travel through the gut lining and actually start causing issues in your body. And so removing gluten really is one of the best things that you can do for your health. Now, I know that might sound like a really big thing, but there are amazing gluten-free options available for things like pasta. We have the Rummer range available on our website, it's absolutely delicious. All sorts of other grains. What about barley and buckwheat and quinoa? Trying new things. What about eating more lentils and more beans? I think that if you removed some gluten from your diet, preferably all gluten for a period of time, I think that it would push you to be more creative in your overall eating, and you would include a wider range of nutrients in your diet. We especially recommend removing gluten from children's diets, and I really think that you will start seeing a difference in some of your kids' behaviors if you start removing some of these things. So my challenge for you today is, why don't you try going gluten-free for the next week and see how you feel. It needs to probably be at least 3 weeks before you really see the benefits of that, especially if you have been intolerant and your body is constantly fighting that. After 3 weeks, you will feel that relief from that thing. And I would trust that after that period of time, you would not want to introduce it back into your diet, or certainly not to the extent that you did before. So why don't you give that a try this week? Let's go gluten-free for the next few days.